Hey guys, welcome back to Spilling the RealiTEA with Trisha and Kiley. And we have a special guest. If you are watching with us live, you may see her on the screen. We have special guest, Big Brother 21, America's favorite player, Big Brother 22 royalty, the quirky podmaster and unicorn herself, Nicole Anthony. Everyone give a virtual round of applause for Nicole Anthony joining our show today. Hi, Nicole.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
We are great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited. I saw you guys had tea in your name. So I was like, yep, these are my kind of people. I love my tea. So I'm ready to go.
And we were chatting with Nicole before we came on, and she showed us her tea mug, and she actually has tea in her mug.
I don't want to tip it because that's not going to end well, but it's in there.
And look how cute her little unicorn mug is. So cute.
So cute.
If y'all are with us live, we do watch our comments, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns about anything we're talking about or for Nicole, please drop them. If we don't get to them as we talk about the topics, we have a whole segment at the end. We will get to any of your questions. So thanks for joining us live. If you are joining us after the live broadcast, you can drop your questions, comments, and concerns below the video. All right.
No complaints, though. No complaints allowed.
No complaints. Speaking of complaints, we're just going to go ahead and let y'all know. Some of y'all have been wanting to know, where is Russell? We've even had some conspiracy.
Does he have COVID?
Yeah, does he have COVID? Is he off filming a show? And you'll be glad to know that none of the, well, he is alive, but none of the other things are true. He will be live tonight, not dead, live tonight, talking about a theoretical Survivor Legend season. So make sure y'all check that out.
Yeah. So for all the people that have been complaining on our videos about, where's Russell? Why is it Russell on this show? This is on his channel. Yeah, we do this every day. We've been here every day.
For the past 76 days.
And Russell will be back tonight, y'all. And we have some special news for y'all. We'll share at the end of the episode. So hang in there. All right, Nicole. So you are on our TV screens at the beginning of this season, and we are sad to say that you are not in the house any longer, and you weren't in there near long enough for our entertainment pleasure. Give us an update on what have you been doing lately with your time. What have you been doing since you left the Big Brother house?
So immediately getting out of the Big Brother house, obviously it's a huge adjustment whether you're in there for a day or 9 days. So getting out of the house, originally it was just kind of like disconnecting from everything and spending time with my family and my bestie Eric and whatnot, and just kind of like acclimating into it, and I kind of slowly ease my way back onto social media. And then from there, I would say the last week and a half, 2 weeks, my co-host and I have been going full throttle on our Hello Friends podcast, just committing to that, and getting guests and whatnot. And I just feel as though, and it took a long time, but I feel as though I'm back to like feeling like myself again. It is an adjustment, so it does take a while, but I thought, I was only in the house for 2 weeks. It won't take that long. It obviously took me over 50 days to finally be like, wow, I feel like myself again.
Yeah, that's, I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
it's such a strange adjustment, to be honest.
Well, I mean, especially whenever you did the back-to-back seasons, and you were obviously in the house the whole summer last year, and then to come back, a year later and be back in the same circumstances.
Yeah, and last year when I left, the show was over. So I left, season wrapped up. Yay, Nicole, you made it to finale night. And this year I left, and so much of the game still had to be played. So here I am. Am I a player? Am I a viewer? So it was weird to sit at home and watch the early episodes and be like, oh, I was just in the house 4 days ago. So that was very strange as well.
I was literally there, and now I'm watching this. This is crazy.
I literally tuned in that Sunday, and they showed a clip of Memphis took over my bed. And I was like, no, that's my bed. I was sleeping in that bed 4 days ago. I was so mad.
Like, how dare
That's
y'all
okay.
not have a total funeral for me and
Yeah.
left?
Come on, there should be like a we miss Nicole A ceremony. What's happening?
Right. That is
I'm
great.
sure that was a little bit weird because you did last so long in your first season, and going right back in, which I don't think no one's ever gone like right back in that quickly. I don't think.
I think Janelle and Kayser went into All Stars, and then Paul went back to back. But I think that's about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, a very exclusive club. Not that many people have gone back to back and stayed for so long. So, have you gotten a chance to catch up with Janelle and Kayser? We did get to see y'all's relationship on the show. We were big fans of yours and Janelle's friendship. And so, have you gotten a chance to catch up with them?
So I have gotten a chance to catch up with Kayser. He called me maybe 2 days after he got out of the house, and we talked it through. And then he did an Instagram live and invited me on. And then like him and I text every now and again. He's come on my show and did like a BB recap show and whatnot. As for Janelle, I haven't spoken to her yet. I have reached out through DM. I've reached out through text. I've given several people my number, and she hasn't contacted me back, which is fine. Like, I get it. People take different times to, process the season and process what happened. I don't wish her any ill will. Like, I wish her all the best. So I really do hope to hear from her soon. And regardless, I will be, because, obviously finale's coming. So.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So we'll
see. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
I know. I love her. Like, and I know fans, like, see this and they go, what? That doesn't make any sense. You didn't trust her. Yeah. I didn't trust her for a couple days in a game when I was confused and paranoid and angry, but that doesn't transfer over to my real life view of her, if that makes sense.
Right. No, exactly. But I mean, like, I know personally speaking, I am a petty type of person. So I think it would take me a while to like, okay, I've really got to let myself process this and get over it, because, whenever I talk to somebody like my husband, if we get into an argument, he's always like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm not going to say I'm sorry right now because I don't mean it. And that's fine. And I want to mean it. So, like, just give me some time. And when I'm ready, I will apologize. But right now, I'm not ready.
Which I get, like, that's just like the way, different people process things differently and approach things differently. And that's why when people ask me that question, I'm like, she hasn't reached out yet. Like, whether it be a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, like, people, they take their time. And that's perfectly fine.
Right. That's awesome. Good way of thinking about it.
Yes.
Well, we look forward to the day. I love the Instagram live that you and Kayser did.
Thank you.
I felt like, we as viewers, I love that, a lot of times we don't get to see those like conversations happen. So we as viewers got to watch that Instagram live and see you two kind of have a conversation about what happened in the house and your feelings. And I thought it was, really touching. And I felt like it was something that, beyond the game kind of that we need in this country and climate that we're in, of like, even though we may have had differing ideas in the house of like about the game and what was going on, at the end of the day, like, we can come together. So I love that y'all did the Instagram live. Hopefully Janelle will come around soon, and it may not even be that she's like salty or anything. It could just be maybe she has a lot going on, or sorry,
absolutely
yellow and
slow down. If it turns red, we have to stop talking.
Okay. Proceed with caution.
But anyways, thanks for doing that Instagram live. I think if I think it's still on Kayser's page. So if anyone
I believe so.
Didn't see that, you can go to Kayser's Instagram, and I'm pretty sure it's in his IGTV page.
And what I do love about that is the fact that, like I said, he called me maybe 2 days after he got out of the house, and it was a very quick conversation, because it was, listen, I want to do this publicly. I want to, have this conversation in front of everybody so everybody can see what it consists of, how we, so our phone call was very brief because we wanted the Instagram live to be our genuine, authentic, hey, haven't spoken to you, let's hash this out, as opposed to like, a rehearsed show, or, oh, you're going to say this. Well, it was just us genuinely, chatting with each other. Yeah, extremely raw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was great. And I think, it was exactly, I mean, y'all didn't owe us as viewers anything. But it definitely, I think the message spoke to a huge volume of people. I'm sure. I know it spoke to me and like, this is more than just a game. And for you guys to have that publicly really said a lot. And I get that can't always happen, but, in this situation with you two going home as early as you did and kind of close together and that fresh on our minds, it really, I think, meant a lot to the BB fandom. I know so much negativity comes out of the BB fandom. It
so much.
A lot of being, a tough fan group, but I think that meant a lot. And the comments on there were pretty positive. So thanks again for doing that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for like watching it. My whole thing is like, yes, there can be like toxicity in the environment, in the BB realm, in the reality realm. And I think, like you said, it's good to show that kind of stuff because it does go to show, like, yes, the game ended, but like there's a life outside of it, and we're all human beings who, yes, we can admit our mistakes, we can acknowledge them, we can move forward. And that was like my main thing. Like, I know, like you said, like we don't owe the fans anything, but my whole thing is I owed it to Kayser, I owed it to myself. I feel like I did owe it to those people that were like, what the hell was going on in the house? Why did she view things the way she did? Why did she act a certain way? Like, I feel like explaining that kind of sheds a light on reality shows as a whole. It kind of shows, oh, okay, I don't want to rip this person apart because now it makes sense why they were thinking the way they were.
Right. We may be a little bit critical on this show of a couple people, Nicole Fansel.
I get it.
But we do try to mainly keep it in the game and okay, when y'all leave, you're gone, you're out of the house. We're not going to continue to trash you, and hopefully we're not trashing you, period. But once you leave the game, it's like, okay, you're a person.
And see, that doesn't like bother me. Like, if people do shows where it's like, what the hell is Nicole A doing? She's so paranoid. She's a mess. She sucks. That doesn't bother me. Like, I can say that about my own game. But like you said, it's when you come out into the world and people attack you as a person. That's when it's like, okay, that's not necessary. Like, you can say what you want about my game, but if you're gonna start saying stuff about like me or my family, it's like, well, that's not relevant.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So bad.
Yeah. I think we had like a whole episode one time because we were getting a lot of comments on like people and how they look in the show and and we're like, oh, we're not here to comment on like how people things that people can't change. There shouldn't be negativity around. Like, why would we need to comment on that? But we're here to really just analyze their game and talk about their game, and that's it. So it really is great to hear this human side of, everything that goes on outside of the house. And again, that conversation really spoke a lot. So viewers, if you didn't catch that, go check out Kayser's Instagram, watch it.
And someone said it's on his YouTube. So
okay, awesome.
Nice. And like I said, he did join us right after BB Comics. So for Memphis's eviction, he joined us for our BB recap show, which is also everywhere. And we talk a lot about the season and how it's unfolded and what life is like outside of the house. So yes, it's about like the eviction episode, but it's also like bigger than that, and like the conversations that need to be had surrounding, let's say, like the Ian, situation and whatnot. Yeah. So we also were able to have that discussion. What was it, last week?
Yeah.
I lost all sense of time. I have no idea what any of the things have happened. How long have they been in that house? Like 1,000 days?
It feels like it. How long has 2020 been? 1 million years.
That's how it feels.
Was there anyone that whenever you went in the house that you were starstruck by, or you're like, holy crap, can't believe I'm playing the game with, Danny? Or was there anyone that you were like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to be in the house with them, or not really?
I think premiere night was very odd for me because I almost felt as though like, okay, I'm back in my house. Like, here's my house. And like when like the hustle bustle of premiere and everybody moving around like settled, that's when it hit me of like, oh wow, the house is decorated and I'm not with the same people. Like, these are different. Oh my gosh, these are people I've watched for like decades. So that's when it started sinking. I wouldn't say right away when I saw people, because you're in like that adrenaline, like, hey, Janelle, hey, Cody, hey, Danny, what's up? And then when you sit back and actually view it, that's when I would honestly say like somebody like Keisha, someone like Kayser, that's when I was sitting there like, whoa, this is really strange that I'm in a house with people that I'm a fan of and that I've watched. And that's when it really started to sink in that I was, I don't know, playing with all-stars and existing among all-stars and living with all-stars. So I wouldn't say starstruck in the sense of like, oh my God, I can't do anything. I'm just going to like grovel at these people's feet and follow them around, because like, I guess too, from the podcast, like I've interviewed some of them. So a lot of my fangirling, I was able to get out of my system, but more like a surreal, I would say more surreal than starstruck. It was more of like, how am I existing in the same sphere of existence as Janelle or as like an Enzo? Like that was very strange to me.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I could imagine. Like it would all be so strange, and I mean, I just couldn't even imagine like what it would feel like to go right back into the house, see it all different. You see all these photos kind of from past seasons and things, and then you're like, oh, like, well, my friend Cliff isn't here. And
that was an adjustment. Like, obviously, I was so excited to see David, and this is something that me and David spoke about. Even David, like, he left so early last season. So even to see him, I was like, wow, like, I finally get to know David too. But I was very much looking for a Cliff or a Tommy. So to not have them in that environment, especially Cliff, I know that led to a lot of my like, ooh, like, I'm uncomfortable. Like, I'm used to having my ride or die confidant, like Cliff, like that's who I go to with all my info, which ended up becoming like a Kevin. But it's very weird to be in the same environment months later, but it's decorated differently and it's all different people. I mean, with the exception of David, it's for the most part different people. Right. So it's almost like third, like you're like pulled out and like plopped somewhere else, and you're like, it's similar but so different.
Yeah. So we did get to see your friendship with Kevin in the house. Yes. Besides Kevin, who are you most excited to connect with when the show's over?
Oh gosh. Definitely obviously Kevin. David I don't count because David's BB21 fam, so I'm already connected to him. Davon is definitely somebody I want to connect with. Enzo is very much somebody that I find absolutely hysterical. I'd like to get to know him. I'm open to like meeting and like chatting with everybody, but I think I'm really excited to like Kevin, Davon, Enzo. I feel like they're like my kind of people.
Yeah.
Well, we're living for that. We are living for those conversations and those, hangouts wherever they are. We're just living for those moments. It's kind of sad that normally we know that at the end of this season, all of the house guests get to come back to the stage and be there for finale, and we know that that's not going to happen this year. Only the jury will be there.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of sad about that, but excited to see the virtual hangouts, but really looking forward to these, post-show hangouts that hopefully get to happen.
Absolutely. And I think what's interesting is last year, again, I walked out on finale night and it was boom, 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 right to the after party, right to interviews, party the next day. And for me, being somebody who that was all new to me, never had social media, not really a social, butterfly. So that was like just immersed into it. Whereas this year, I feel like I'm not a lot, but more used to it. So I was looking forward to, finale and seeing everybody and the after party and reconnecting with everybody. Yeah. So it's tough to be like, oh no, finale's happening and you're going to stay on the East Coast and be there. And I'll be there virtually, which is awesome. But I wish I was like in person. And I mean, because of COVID, I wouldn't be able to hug anyway, but I just want to hug all of them and tell, I want to tell David that I'm proud. I want to tell Kevin that I'm sorry he was on the block so many times. There's just so much. I want to congratulate Davon when she wins AFP. I want to be there. I want to be there for those moments.
Right. Well, yeah, it's 2020 is the worst.
It is. Boo.
We subliminally push Davon as AFP. We're like,
I try so hard.
You heard it here from Nicole. She was our last AFP, so she gets to pass the torch to who she wants, and she's the
take her crown.
Yeah.
Pass it to Davon.
Here you go, Davon.
Yeah, that would be cool. We are really rooting for a Davon and for AFP, and we're towards the end of the season, the feed's kind of cut off and we won't have as much to cover. So we're going to do a whole show on why everyone deserves, AFP, because we get so many comments, like our Twitter, we don't have like a huge following. But what I mean is, like,
still,
5 out of 10 of our replies to tweets are Tyler, and we are holding all of these comments for a grand show of we're gonna talk about who deserves AFP and why, and we're gonna talk about who deserves to win the show and what they need to say and to get there. So
I love that. It's a great idea. And I mean, obviously, everybody in their own right could be AFP. My argument behind Avon is, and I know it should only really focus on the one season, but I think the grand scheme of things, she's somebody on all 3 of her seasons, left a mark, is such a poignant person in the BB community, even though she left earlier her last 2 seasons. Everybody knows Avon. Everybody knows her witty DR sessions. Everybody was like waiting for her to get her comp win. She finally got it. She went there for something bigger than herself. She gave amazing speeches, like you said, because life is so much more important than that game. And like that to me is an AFP. That to me is somebody who deserves to have that title. Like, I just think she's an incredible player, but also even more so human being.
Right. Yeah. And Tyler already won it, so
yeah. See, I'm biased. I don't want any repeats. So like even the fact that Nicole is so close to like finale and whatnot, I'm like, no repeats. Give somebody else the title of first place. Give somebody else the title of AFP. Like it's not like you're stripped of your win or you're stripped of your AFP when somebody else gets it. So like, why not make our pool bigger and give it to more people? Like I want Davon to be a part of the AFP pool so bad.
Right. I agree 1,000%. I mean, Davon is one of the biggest personalities to ever play Big Brother across 22 seasons. She's done it 3 times. And every season it's like, oh gosh, I am just hanging on what Davon says because she is the narrator of the season. So,
and she's the only, if not one of the only people to use the veto on somebody else this season.
The only one.
Only one that took a veto and said, I'm saving somebody else in an all-star season, which you'd think it would have happened a lot more times. So that, like, I commended that she had all these people telling her what to do, and being an all-star, she was like, no, I'm doing what's best for me and what I want to do. And that's something that I even said in my eviction speech. I'm like, this is all stars, not all scared. You need to play your game. And that's why, like, I respect Enzo always, casting his vote the way he wants his vote to be cast. That's why I respect Davon for using a veto despite what other people said. And I think there's some people that didn't necessarily play for themselves. They played for the group, which I feel like isn't really all-star-y.
Right. So I think that's a really good segue into last night's episode where we got to see this HOH competition and we really got these DRs from Cody and Nicole where they were mad at Enzo because Enzo was playing his own game. And I'm sorry, but like I think Enzo's train of thought on that was exactly right. And like, hey, you're going after Christmas, you ended up kind of running out of space and getting yourself out. If I would have done it too, there might have been a scenario where we were both eliminated. And so with Enzo getting to squirm around on his own over there with half a board, like, why wouldn't that was a good game move on Enzo.
I agree 100%. We did a watch party and I was like yelling at the TV every time Cody or Nicole would complain because first and foremost, you have this commission, whatever it may be. I forget. They're interchangeable.
The committee.
You have this committee that Enzo was technically never a part of. I understand he was technically the honorary number 7. I understand that. I understand the 2 of them are the root. I get all that. But he was never really a part of that solid 6-person alliance. So first of all, you can't be butthurt by what he does anyway. Second of all, we're in Final 4. So if you're in the DR frustrated that somebody is not playing your game, you need to grow up. Enzo did not walk into that house saying, I want Cody to get this money. No, Enzo walked into that game for himself and for his children. So he didn't put a gun to your head and say, go chase after Christmas. You, Cody, decided to do that because you were so obsessed with her. That's what you did. And Enzo made the executive decision to worry about his own game. I think it was so incredibly intelligent on Enzo's part. Obviously, it won him the HOH, and I just think Cody was jealous that he got the HOH. I think he was butthurt that this whole season a lot of people have been doing what Cody wants, and kind of for the first time, someone's like, no, doing it for me. I think he was so shocked that, like, wait, whoa. Enzo's not playing the game for me. Nicole's playing the game for me. What is Enzo doing? So I think that was kind of like a blow to his ego, to be honest.
Yeah.
We had a comment. We had a comment yesterday where one of the viewers was like, "Hey guys, I haven't watched since Janelle went home. Can y'all like give a quick rundown of what's happened?" And we jokingly said, "Nothing has happened. Cody was HOH week 1. If you haven't watched since then, you haven't missed anything. Cody has, ran the whole season." And to that point of exactly what you said, Cody has, been a part of pretty much every move that has been made this season. Yep. And he was visibly frustrated whenever Enzo wasn't listening to him, and he thought he had Enzo, so in his pocket that Enzo would do whatever he wanted, and visibly frustrated that he didn't.
Absolutely. Right. And I can definitely commend him, applaud him for all his comp wins, for getting to the end, for the purpose that he'll probably win. Like, I can applaud all of that. Like, I respect the game enough. I respect him enough as a player. However, I just think it's very interesting how people shift when the shoe's on the other foot. So, like, when you're in power all season, you're, like, riding high, and this season's great. Everything's working out for Cody, but you don't understand, like, a Kevin. Like, we saw him and Kevin kind of go at it. They didn't really see eye to eye because Kevin was always down and out, always on the block, always nominated. I think it's interesting to see that one little shimmer of things not going Cody's way, and he did kind of fall apart. So it's like, hopefully he'll, understand what it's like to be in the other person's shoes for once and not always be riding high. And, like, I thought it was kind of good to put that in perspective for him. I kind of would have expected him to be like, wow, Enzo made a smart move. Damn it, Enzo's smart. But instead it was like, this is unfair to me because I'm Cody, and that's not fair because I'm Cody.
Yeah. So we did get this question from Ed. It says, Nicole, what is your view of the pregame alliances?
Okay, so I don't want to say whether or not they really happened. I don't want to, speak on that specifically because I'm not being accused of alleging things that are not even, But what I will say in general about pregame alliances, if they happen or not, I think it's bullcrap. I'm a very firm believer that the game starts day one. I think it's very unfair to start the game -20, -10, which I guess is kind of hypocritical because had I seen a Cliff or a Tommy in the house, I'd be like, yay, my friend is here. But I feel like, yay, my friend is here is a little bit different than perhaps walking into the house with an alliance of 6 people that are just going to bulldoze. Again, it comes down to winning comps, which if you take this season, for example, yes, they did win all the comps, so I can't take that away from them. They did stay in power. They did stay loyal. But a part of me, because I've never been one to pregame. I didn't pregame. I just think it kind of takes away from the integrity of the game. It's kind of like saying to your family, oh, you want to have game night and play Monopoly? And then you're down in your basement pre-printing Monopoly money and putting it in your pockets so you have it. Like, yeah, it's savvy and wise, but it's also cheating.
Yeah, we had James Ryan on our show from BB6 and BB7, and he talked about, he was like, you know what? Even in my season back then, we pregame. There was pregaming that was happening. He was like, and we knew also, with Survivor, they brought back everybody, and they didn't out pre-gaming necessarily, but they outed these people who had better relationships with certain people than others. And so James, put up this idea that, okay, there's nothing CBS can do to stop pre-gaming. There's nothing they can stop outside relationships from forming and people trusting each other organically outside of the house and then going in. He was like, what CBS could do is out these alliances pretty much, or, in some way they need to talk about, hey, this relationship was formed outside of the house. So it's not so like we put all this together. It was all our game. And then, they get to the end and they're like, look at what all I did. But really there was more to it. So that's a great idea.
That's an extremely valid point. I think if it was owned, if that makes sense, if if it is known that it happened and the network did just show it on the episode, like, hey, these 5 people knew each other outside the house and they decided to work together. Here's where we are right now. I think then maybe the fandom would feel less like
cheated.
Yeah, I think exactly. I think the fandom feels very cheated by you're claiming these alliances were made day one, but were they? And I think the reason why with pre-gaming I have backstepped a little bit is because, like I said, look at me. I literally just said, oh, I wish Cliff was in that house. I knew I was good with Cliff. That's essentially pre-gaming because I already know him. And I think that's why I love newbie seasons so much. Like last season, all of us walked in. Some of us knew each other. There you go.
Tommy, Christy, Nicole. Kat and Holly,
that's
but
true.
whatever.
So, yeah, and a lot of us were frustrated that they already knew. So, in general, a newbie season, so someone like me, I walked in, didn't know anybody from Adam, didn't feel like I owed anybody anything. So, if you screwed somebody over, you literally could say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I don't know you. Whereas if it's a returnee season and you screw somebody over, the person's like, what the hell? I had coffee with you once after that meet and greet. I thought we were good. So it kind of makes a lot of gray area. So, but I am being not accepting of pregame. I understand it more now that I get how Reality Realm works. And for example, if you plop all of us in that house again next year, obviously I'm still going to be close with Kevin and Davon. I'd probably say to Janelle and Kayser, like, learn my lesson. I trust you guys. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So when you repeat people, there's going to be relationships that are already formed. So as much as pre-gaming specifically annoys me, it does also come down to remaining loyal and not screwing your people over and winning competitions and keeping your people safe, which they did. You can't deny, regardless of whether they worked together preseason or not, they won every single comp. They kept loyal to each other with the exception of getting rid of Danny, but even then the only person left was Enzo. So I have to commend them whether they existed prior to the season or not.
Yeah. And we talked about on our episode yesterday that we probably wouldn't see this type of thing happen in an all new person season because that trust is so much there with these people. For example, Nicole and Cody, just picking on them because they are, at the end, Nicole and Cody, for example, and we see this happening on the feeds every day, these past few days. Nicole's having conversations with Christmas where she's talking, pretty much like, I'm not taking Cody. Cody's talking to Enzo saying, I'm not taking Nicole, I'm taking you.
Yep.
If these friendships prior to the alliance or to the game exist, then Christmas could go to Cody and say, hey, Nicole told me this, and it would poke holes in that.
Perfect.
But they have so much trust in each other that's, was made. I'm not going to say pregame, but just because they have that trust in each other that's outside the game, they know that no matter what, we're each other's ride or die. That wouldn't happen in a new person season.
That's very true, because even last season, had somebody gone up to Cliff and be like, Nicole's getting rid of you, there would be that moment of like, damn, is she? Because we worked together all season, but you don't know each other. Whereas someone like Cody and Nicole, they've had that bond for years. They were on how many seasons ago? They have a friendship outside the house. You literally look at each other and go, come on, I'm not getting rid of you. And that's it. And that's why when people say, when people say like, oh, she'd be so smart to get him out, I always say to people, but you have to understand their real life friendship, like it overrides anything in that game. Yep.
Yeah. So it's just, interesting. I agree with James in the manner of, I do wish CBS would have said something if this did happen. I think it would help us as viewers kind of put this together. And because we always get this question of like, if Nicole wins, is she the best player of all time? And it's like, well, we don't really know because we don't know the extent of like what happened in the game and what happened before the game that gave the other players a disadvantage.
Right.
It's very true.
Like
and
it's an asterisk next to a second place and a second win.
That is true too, because it takes so much luck to win Big Brother. I don't care. You plot me in a different season, maybe I won. You plot me in a different season, maybe I go out first. It's so much of it is luck. So I feel like with somebody like Nicole F., she's been in the community. She's been to reality events. She's been on multiple seasons. She's had years to cultivate, relationships with people in the realm. Whereas, for instance, somebody like me, I've been in the realm for now about a year with COVID, so I couldn't go to a lot of like reality events. So it's just the different exposure, and that kind of affects your luck in the game.
Right.
So
I love this comment from KMK. We're going to pop it up here because this is what I've been saying for a few days now. Nicole with a second win would be equivalent to Sandra with hers. So to answer the question, no, she would not be the greatest player. Like, Sandra does have the $2 million and the 2 titles, but I don't think there's anybody. Well, there are people, but so many people argue about, hey, you know,
Yep.
Russell's better, Parvati's better. You know, there's lots of people that get put above Sandra, even though she's won the 2 titles. So
it's true. And listen, you won. That's commendable. It's amazing. But I think we've seen some great people go out pre-jury. We've seen incredible game players be one of the first members of jury. So I think great game player and winner kind of are very different on different spectrums.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Yeah, we talked about there's these boxes that need to be checked as being a good game player. You know, the social competitions.
Yep.
You know, what did this person actually? What obstacles did they have to overcome to get to where, you know, that point? Makes them all around. It could make them a better player than, you know, someone who just had an easy ride to the end.
Yeah.
And didn't really.
And that's why I'm rooting for an Enzo win, and I commend Enzo a lot because, again, he wasn't a part of that formal alliance. He won comps early on in the season. He built a relationship with Christmas. I was friendly. I think everybody's friendly with him. That is a testament to a social game.
Yeah.
He's a great social player to the point where even like Memphis made a deal with him. Christmas did. Everybody wanted him over their own alliance members. And now here he still is, Final Four, probably going to be in Final 3. I think that's a hell of a good game, especially socially, to navigate your way there.
He even made friends with the inflatable cow, Mulan, who got a lot of segment from last night on the Big Brother episode.
Yes.
It was super entertaining, but we got another segment on small talk. And this segment was absolutely hilarious how it was edited in the manner of Cody having to have small talk with Christmas as there's only 4 people left in the house. They're stuck together. And they're all kind of just like, with each other. We all know how that roommate situation is. Yeah. Was there a point in the house where when you were on, you know, BB21 or even BB22 where you were like, I just kind of want to be by myself. Like, I don't really want to talk to anybody anymore. And, you know, give us a little insight from someone who's been in the house. Give us a little context. Like, what is that like?
I think a lot of people are like this, even if you are like a social butterfly, but I think I'm a very like to myself kind of person. So a lot of the time, last year, like I'd slink away up by like the board games. I'd slink away and go read the Bible. I'd slink away and just sit in my bed because you need to decompress from that constant talking game. And it's not just normal talk. It's talk. Oh gosh, don't say anything. You don't want this person to send you home. So you're always on and like really on because you don't want to screw up your game. So it's exhausting. So I understand like, you know, wanting to slink away. And what I will say about like Final Four. So last year, Mickey, Holly, me, and Cliff. Obviously that's 2 duos. I would spend a lot of my time with Cliff and then I would kind of go off my own. But at that point, it really doesn't come down to like strategizing and gaming and who are we sending home. At that point, it's basically just win the comp and do what you want to do. Like, so you're just waiting for the comps to happen. So you're literally sitting around like, yep, comp is tomorrow. And you already know each other's children, families, workplace, states. So there's no other questions. So you're sitting there like,
you can always talk about talent shows.
Exactly. So like in that moment, you have nothing else to talk about. So she's probably like, all right, think of something Christmas. And that's probably the only thing she could think of that nobody had heard up until that point. Because when there's bigger groups of people too, even if it's their same stories, bigger groups, you have chatter, you have, you know, exchange. When the group gets so small, it's that awkward like cricket in the room because you're like, I don't know what else to talk to you about.
Right. Yeah. But I think this was probably my favorite DR from Cody where he's like, I'm gonna hate that I asked this, but I have to.
You should do it now.
And then it hands to him on the couch and he's like, Were you ever in a talent show, Christmas?
I felt bad for her though. It's one of those things where you're like, all right, make conversation, and then he's like, do it. So you're like, okay. So then she's up there trying to remember the dance, and obviously she felt that it was awkward. She knew it was awkward, but she was just committing. So I give her credit for committing. And then he's sitting there like, why did I ask this? This is awkward. So it was just one of those weird, like, oh man, there's only 4 of us left, and Nicole and Enzo are not here, and this is weird.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we can tell that what's on the cutting room floor is very dull right now. There's not a lot there because we got last night's episode. We got this talent show discussion, lots of Mulan, the inflatable cow, and I mean Enzo straight up having conversations with him like he is his other alliance, and
bananas.
We got and then we got the
bananas, the sneezing,
a whole
Cody's nose, which by the way is fine. It's a perfectly perfect nose.
Okay, like let's be real, Cody. You're like basically a perfect specimen of a human being.
He is.
Like, I mean, I guess you have to pick something, but like.
I was shocked. I agree with Christmas. I was so shocked when he was like, I hate my nose. I was sitting there like, wait, what? Really? And it goes to show you everybody has insecurities, but the man's perfect.
Yeah, you're pretty, so okay.
And that's why I felt bad for Enzo. Like, Enzo wasn't laughing at him. Enzo was having a moment like, wow, even this perfect specimen of a man has an insecurity. Like, are you kidding me? You're upset about your nose? Your nose is great. So, like, I knew Enzo didn't mean it to, like, laugh at him. He meant it like, oh, my God, this is absurd, you know?
Yeah, like, I wish that it
Don't
was
you love how they're all just sitting together, though? That's what happens. You all sit together, like, and, like, Enzo said, should we talk about insecurities and pet peeves? Like, they're literally trying to come up with topics, and I feel so bad.
They should give them, you know, like, there's these, like, drinking games or just even, like, these games you can play with like a group of people, like a first date type of game that you pull the card and it's a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
To give the house guests this, it would give us entertainment, but it would also help them have these conversations because how are you just like, hey, y'all want to talk about like what we don't like about ourselves? That'd be cool.
What's weird too, I feel like it's such a different group because even when there was so many people in the house, like Big Brother did give us a similar game to that. And we all sat in the living room, and there was, I think, all 16 of us at the time. We all sat in the living room and we were playing the game. And maybe they gave us like, I don't know, 10 cards. We got through 7 of them, and it was for Facebook Live. So, you know, Big Brother's like, all right, the Facebook stream is over. You're good. And some of us were like, oh, we have 3 cards left. We should keep playing. And I would say about 12 of the people were like, nah, we're done. I'm like, why are you done? We have 3 cards left. What are you going to do? Go sit in a corner? Like, we have nothing to do. Let's just play. So it was a very different group even in that sense, because when I think of the 16 of us last year, like controversy aside, we would be doing fashion shows. We'd be dancing. We'd be cooking. We'd be like, it was always like laughter and loud. This group was very, I guess, because people are being sneaky, and that's why I went home second. But people are being very quiet, and it was like, oh man, come on now.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely missed the Tommy Bracco choreographed dances and the fun little group activities. We definitely missed that this season. But I agree. I think it just comes from their word. There's these people that were already friends, and I mean, you can't help to have that like cliquish mentality.
Yep. I agree.
Here I am being yellow.
Stop while you're.
Don't go there. Don't go there. All right. So that probably wraps up the episode. We see the nominations of Nicole and Christmas. Those don't really matter. So let's talk about the feeds.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty much we are repeating ourselves from the past 3 days of, Nicole is having conversations with Christmas about, it's me and you, girl. We're going to the end. And then we see, Cody doing the same thing to Enzo. We see Christmas talking to Nicole about Cody and Enzo. We see Enzo talking to Cody about Nicole and Christmas. These people, Christmas and Enzo, have no idea that Cody and Nicole are as close as they are.
Right.
Or they know and they're trying to convince the other person as well as themselves, like, no, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Like if I say it enough times, if I'm Enzo and I tell Cody enough times that we're bros, he won't be that close to Nicole. I'll convince him.
Yeah. I mean, we see Enzo talk about how great Nicole's game is and how, and me and Kylie are like, does he actually mean her game is that great? Because he was even saying it before she had won competitions. And we're like, is he actually saying this because he believes it, or is he trying to paint a target on her back and get Cody to get rid of her sooner? I mean, he's still saying it. We've got to get rid of Nicole. We've got to get rid of Nicole. She's going to beat both of us. And Enzo seems to truly believe he can beat Cody over Nicole, which is tough.
I think he's very scared and he's trying to convince Cody that Nicole is scary. If he says it enough times, maybe Cody will be like, oh yeah, and actually do it and get rid of her. I think kind of in the episode yesterday with the whole night moves, I think Enzo kind of had this epiphany of, oh my gosh, I'm in Final Four with Cody and Nicole. I need Christmas here. Like, I need her to stay. And I do think regardless whether he's playing the house guest, if he's playing production, if he's playing America, I think deep down in Enzo's mind, he's like, damn, I needed Cody to leave this week to kind of navigate to where I want to navigate. And now that it's obviously not going to happen, I think he's like, all right, at least knock out Nicole so that Cody will take me over Christmas. And I think that's why he's trying to desperately to drive that home.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen though.
No.
He's trying though. I got to give him credit. You got to fight till the bitter end. So he's trying.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Enzo, I mean, he is playing a great game, and, that's why we really are going to set a whole episode to talk about, like, what does Enzo need to say at the end? What has he done in dissecting these games? Because Enzo has played a good game. As much people, I mean, I feel like he's one of the, definitely, I think, the most underrated person in the top four. But like you said,
I agree.
He was not in that Big Six alliance. He has made it, he made it beyond Memphis, the creator of this alliance. People overthrew him and kept Enzo solely based on his social game. So there's really a lot to unpack when it comes to Enzo's game. And I think, if he can speak to that and put that in words at Final Two, he has
Absolutely. And the people that say, like, the game has fallen into Enzo's lap, I don't think so. I think a lot of it has to do with social game. Why would Memphis approach him with a Final Three? Because he's personable and he's social and he does win comps. And that's why Memphis approached him with, like, the wise guys. So I think, I think he does deserve a lot more credit. And I think one thing my co-host Eric always says is, Enzo was somebody, we had to stop going after Kevin and David. We had to stop going after Kevin and David. Stop going after Kevin and David. And then he voted out David. And the fans were like, oh, you're a liar. You're a liar. He was also playing America. So I think Enzo's cognizant enough of, like, this is what the house guests want to hear. This is what production wants to hear. This is what America wants to hear. And I think he's playing everybody. I think the only person that knows what his true intentions are is Enzo. And I'm not that way, but it's something that because I'm not that way, I can definitely, like, commend it. Like, it is kind of impressive to be able to be like, well, this is what I'm going to say in the DR. You know what I mean? So that production thinks I'm doing this. Oh, and then I'm actually going to do that. Like, I think he kind of has everybody fooled, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. He needs you in the jury house to plead his case, because I think that you right there just, like, summed up Enzo's game much better than he is probably going to be able to do himself.
I know what he's going to do. He's going to stand up and he's going to be like, it is what it is, yo. I was backed into a corner. I kept myself safe, yo. None of y'all did that. I laid low. I had a social game, yo. It is what it is. And then he's going to sit down and we're all going to be like, Enzo, what are you doing?
That's not enough. That's not enough.
To take that clip and put it next to Enzo's potential Final Two speech, if it happens, and then mirror each other, because that is spot on. What a great impression.
Thank you.
And exactly what he's going to say.
100%.
I hope not. I hope he has this perfectly laid out plan of what he has done with the safety suite, with keeping Christmas, with casting his votes the way he wants to, winning comps, making alliances with people like Memphis, navigating through this big alliance. Like he needs to line up everything he has done from start to finish in order to show the people in jury, like, oh damn, that's what Enzo was doing this whole time. Because people currently view Enzo as like, he just kind of like, floats around, he's friendly and whatever. And that's kind of like the whole Memphis thing. A lot of people in jury were like, oh, Memphis, he goes to bed early. Meanwhile, Memphis was pulling a lot of strings, and he was another one. If he were to articulate that, I think the jury would have been like, damn, Memphis. So Enzo very much falls into that category of like, if he doesn't articulate it point by point by point, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Memphis's flaw was definitely that he thought he was doing so much better than he was. He was doing great. He was doing really good.
Yeah.
But he thought he was doing like this, amazing Dan Giesling type of game. And he was playing a Memphis game. And so he needed to just humble himself a little bit more, come down, and I think he would have been able to see things a little bit better. Because even until the day he went home, he thought Christmas was going home over him, because he was like, no way my bros are going to get rid of me. No way the wise guys get rid of me.
And I would say it was that week that I think we started seeing Memphis spiral. I feel like he was calm, cool, collected, alpha male, taking people out. And then all of a sudden that week started playing really hard, really erratic, very nervous, I'm staying. Like he got too convincing himself that he was staying. And that's when he just it just spiraled to nothingness. And then it was like, now you're gone.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh, well. Bye.
So we talked about this Final Six alliance and just how close they were, and how, they've stuck together to the end.
Yeah.
Enzo. And Christmas makes a comment yesterday, that they need to decompress when they get out of the house. They don't want to walk out of this house and talk about Big Brother. They just need a break, which is completely understandable. But Christmas goes on to say after that the only people she wants to hang out with after Big Brother is the Final Six. She doesn't feel that she will be friends with everyone else. Or she says she's friends with everyone else, but feels most connected to the six. Now, we know that, you've said you have, somewhat of a relationship with David, but he did go home first. Did you have that? I mean, you went all the way to Final Four. Did you have that same feeling? Or, we get that you're stuck in the house longer with this group of people.
Yeah.
But, what are your thoughts on that comment?
I'm not going to lie. That kind of put a bad taste in my mouth about Christmas. I mean, it was already a bad taste, but now it's even worse. I was never that way in the sense of, and you can watch any feeds. When David went home night one, I would talk all the time. I'd be like, I wish David came back, even if he's not playing the game. I wish they would just let him come back. We only knew him for a couple hours. This sucks. Blah, blah. And then as the season went on, I'd be like, I miss Obi. I miss Kemi. I wonder what they're doing. I wonder what Obi and Kemi are doing. Later in the season, I'd be like, oh, Sam was a really funny guy. I'll be friends with him outside this house. So I always spoke. We did a luxury comp Final Four. We did a luxury comp Final Four, and Obi came back. And I almost peed my pants because I was so excited to see him. So I always viewed everybody as my BB21 fam. I love you all. I want to be friendly with you all. I would say it's more so game-wise that you have a deeper bond with people. And that's something that me and Holly nowadays always talk about. Having lived in that house together that final week, just me, her, and Mickey, it does develop a different bond because you understand what it's like to be in the house at Final Three, which it's a very strange feeling, and I don't even know how to even describe it, but it's just very different. So me and Holly always talk about that, but that doesn't take away from my friendship with Sam. I'm not like, well, Sam, I didn't live with you as long,
right.
So you know what I mean? So with Christmas, I could argue, yes, you have maybe a tighter bond with certain people, but the fact that she's saying she really only wants to hang out with those people, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's just Christmas being Christmas, in which case, oh, excuse me, I have something in my eye.
That's exactly how we took the comment. Christmas is very competition driven, and she has overestimated herself quite a bit in how good she is. But we basically took the comment as, okay, well, you're not in final 6, well, you're a loser, and I don't want to be friends with you. Okay,
I think,
so number 7, no.
Yep, I think she's very like, if you're worthy of being in my presence, and I think, and this is something I also said about Memphis, I don't see Memphis even bothering to bother with me because I don't exist in his world. Same thing with Christmas. I think it's like, wait, Nicole who? Oh, the little quirky, scrawny girl that can't win comps and went home second. Who is she again? And I think that's the ego, the arrogance. So like, whereas I'm open to talking to anybody and being friendly with anybody, if you don't want to bother with me because I don't exist in your realm, it's your loss, and it's very unfortunate. Like, if that's your mentality, like people aren't of your caliber and therefore you don't want to hang out with them, like graduate from high school. Like, seriously.
Right.
We
spot
on agree, and it, you know, it is tough to like, I don't know, it's just, you know, we watch these TV shows for entertainment, and then when you see comments like that and you're just like, ugh, like it just makes you cringe. You're just like, you're just, you know, like we love, you know, you for coming on our show. Like, we're not like this huge show, and we're so thankful to have.
But you guys are fabulous.
We love, you know, the people that have, you know, come on our show for just as an example. And I think that, you know, you're just this like above everybody. I mean, even A-list celebrities, like the ones that are humble, those are the ones, you know, that we love the most, or that the people love the most. And, you know, that because I feel like are probably happier with themselves than these people that are like, I'm above everybody else. I made it to final 3. I made it to final 4 my second time. You know, that just, nobody has room for that kind of negativity in their life.
I couldn't even word it any better. The thing is, like, there must be something that you're insecure about or low about that you feel the need to put people on a hierarchy system. I'm such a firm believer, nobody's above me and nobody's below me. Like, I would never poo-poo somebody because they're not up to a Nicole caliber, which I don't even think exists. But also when people act like they're above me, then I don't want to deal with you. So if for someone like Christmas to say that, then it's like, ew, maybe I don't want to engage with you then. Like, don't act like you, like I'm groveling, pulling at your pants. Like, come on, Christmas, be friends with me. Like,
my friend.
Okay, bye.
But, I mean,
like look at last season again. We would all talk about, oh my God, can't wait to see Obi postseason. We would all like, can't wait to see, you know, sis. Like, we would all talk about each other, whether we went out first or last. Like, we couldn't wait to see our BB21 fam. And it's kind of unfortunate that we all went through, whether you went home when Keisha went home or you won, we all went through the similar All-Stars experience. And it's unfortunate to know that maybe some of the people that had that clique mentality in the house, in a game, are going to continue that clique mentality in real life. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah. Right. We agree, and we love what you stand for. And again, we love that this is your mentality, because we love having people like you on our show that are fun, exciting, and spreading positivity everywhere they go. Positive confetti.
Thank you.
And to wrap up the final things that happened on the feeds last night, just a little bit, we got a little bit of Cody's insight. Just to paraphrase it, pretty much that as many conversations as he has with Enzo, he is ride or die with Nicole. So if we get to see Cody does win, you know, the final HOH, we 100% expect him to take Nicole to the end unless something crazy happens within the week. So Enzo, to get to the final 2, is going to need to win that final HOH, and he will. So we're putting it in the universe.
Yes,
we're putting it out
there. If he wins it and brings Cody, like, no,
I know.
Like, and that goes back to what you were saying. Does he really deep down know, and he's just trying to convince himself that Cody and Nicole, or trying to convince Cody that him and Nicole aren't that close, or will final 3 come? And if Cody picks Nicole, will Enzo genuinely be like, wait, what the hell is going on? Like, I hope it doesn't, because that's what happened his first season is, you know, the 2 guys picked each other and Enzo went out there. Oh gosh, that's so sad. I want Enzo to win it.
But can we also talk about, and I know we're like right at time, but can we also just really quickly talk about how how Enzo believes in the OTEP curse so much that he's like, Cody isn't going to win. And so I'm so scared he's going to take Cody because of it. He's like, you're not going to win.
Wait, hold on. I have an addendum to the speech. It'll be, and he freaking won OTEP, and that's a curse, so we can't win. So that's going to be the last part of the speech.
So that's why I deserve to win, yo.
Oh no.
Okay, let's hit a couple questions. We got a ton of great questions for you. Okay. This one's really long, if it'll show back up again. Cam K wants to know, what the heck is it about Cody that literally miss everyone? Why is his charisma so freaking high that he was able to get away with flying through this season? For real.
Wow. Okay, so what I will say is a lot of it comes down to that 6-person alliance. When you think about it, Keisha, me, Janelle, Kayser, Bailey, Ian, Davon, Kevin, David, none of us won HOH. So you can't argue that none of us targeted him because none of us won HOH. I know I planned on targeting him. I know Janelle planned on targeting him. I know Kevin planned on targeting him. So a lot of it just came down to the people he was with won competition. So their focus was get out the Janelles, the Kaysers, the Baileys. That was their mission. And then when it came to it and they all started attacking each other, who also won comps? Cody. So yes, like Tyler won, but he was more caught up with Danny because they were all always going at each other's throats. But Cody was constantly winning comps. So they really didn't have a chance when it got down to just the 6 of them to really go and get him. And you could argue Tyler could have backdoored him or Memphis could have went after him, but it's just the way like the cookie crumbled. So what I would argue is it's more so his comp wins and being a great competitor and being part of an alliance. I don't think, to be honest, he had Keisha missed it or me missed it or, David missed it. I just think we didn't win,
Right. Yeah, and there used to be this stigma around, people, super fans would go in the house and they're like, I don't want to win the first HOH. But
false.
Yeah. And so now it's like, we saw Cody win this first HOH and it has like our wheels turning. Maybe winning the first HOH isn't such a bad idea. It makes people, especially in a new person season, want to align with you. Like they're forced to have some conversation with you that first week. Whereas they might not that week if you're not HOH or in some sort of power. And I just think him winning that first HOH plus the potential, the allegations of any pregame chatter really, catapulted him into this world of power this season.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think first HOH win, like you said, is typically thought of as like, oh gosh, you don't want that. But if you think about it, somebody, I think it was Hayden that won HOH. Josh took the Golden Apple night one. I know Tyler won something very early on last year. Mickey was camp director. Christy won the first HOH, and Mickey and Christy were kind of viewed as like two of like the king and queen of the house. Like, oh God, I don't want to go against Mickey. Ooh, I'm afraid to go against Christy, because we viewed them almost as like a power. And I think that happened again this season where like Cody is our leader because he was the first HOH. And I think that's just like a subconscious mentality that happens. So I think it's smart. If you're in the house, win the first HOH. Because like you said, people have to come up to you, and alliances form around power. Friendship forms around power. People go up to you to talk to you, and you become everybody's, I spoke to him, we're good. Because even I was like, okay, Cody didn't put me up. If I win next week, I won't put him up for a week to repay the favor. So it kind of puts everybody in good graces with you.
I agree. One of the questions we got on Instagram, I will ask the question and then name the person that they hoped that you would say. If you are not a part of this season and you were just a viewer, you didn't know anybody, you just knew them from their, show or what a casual viewer may know of them, or even a feedster, who would you be rooting for and why?
Oh gosh, I know me. I am very biased. I'm not a big alliance gal. I've never have been. I'm team underdog through and through. So I know I would have been team Kevin, team David. Obviously, in that sense, obviously Janelle and Kayser. And and Davon. Because I very much gravitate toward the people that are all being targeted. Like, that pisses me off. I don't like people that are targeted. I feel bad for my underdogs. So those are the people that I'd be like, especially like someone like Kevin who kept on getting nominated. I'd be like, come on, Kevin, take them all out.
I know, poor Kevin.
This user, so their question was actually, who were you rooting for, and why is it David? So I love that you actually said David.
I love how I say David first. I walked right into that one. Because, again, underdog, and he is the epitome of underdog. He got banished night 1 last season, didn't win one stupid comp, and that's it, went home. Almost came back, again, a comp, went home. And as somebody who doesn't win a lot of comps, I don't think he had enough of an opportunity to show his social game, his strategy. He was so aware of all the friendships and whatnot in the house. Like, he had it all down pat. And I believe he deserved his chance to show that. And look, he went very far, even with that preseason alliance, allegedly. So he made it really far. So, he is the epitome of an underdog who showed, I can freaking do this, and I can take out, I can outlast so many amazing people. And I freaking love David.
So do you think David would have been better served to have come back on a second chances type season, or just maybe a few years down the road where he would have also had a little more time to get into the BB community? For David, it feels like he was definitely outmatched whenever so many of y'all went so deep in your seasons, including winners and AFPs and legends, So
I feel like he needed this season to happen to get into the BB community. I think having gone out first, no offense, I think had he returned just him and all newbies, they too would have been like, he didn't even play the game. Oh, it doesn't matter. If he returned with 3 alums, they'd be like, oh, you played 1 day. I think now that he's played another season, regardless if it's All-Stars or not, now in the community, I think more people are like, oh, damn, he played 2 seasons and are more scared of his prowess. So I think I kind of detoured from your question, but I think the season was redemption. I think the season was second chances. I think it would have been better named redemption. I think it would have caused a lot less in the community, because the word all-star got a lot of people pissed off. But yeah, I think regardless what the title of the season was, I think he needed another season under his belt just to shut up the people that are like, he went home night 1. It's like, no, I was in All-Stars and made it all the way really far into jury, even with a 6-person alliance. So, and look at the people he outlasted: a Keisha, a Janelle, a Kayser, a Davon. That's incredible.
Right. So we do have this one more question here, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. Kyle Betancourt wants to know, if he were to go on Big Brother or Survivor, what would be your tips for staying friendly with people you don't agree with inside the game?
Oh, that's a great question. I always say I use the Big Brother approach, and it's something that I always say I learned from Tyler, and I would implement it even when I was working at the preschool, because sometimes there's staff members that you don't see eye to eye with, and I would always say to myself, no, use the Tyler Big Brother approach. And what that is, just smile and nod, oh yeah, oh good, okay, ooh, oh, so interesting, and then walk away and take your minute. So if you're on the island with somebody or in the house with somebody that you do not get along with, obviously social game is really important. So you just not yes them to death, obviously, if they're saying mean or offensive things, but you just kind of hear them out. Oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting. Oh yeah, oh wow. And then just walk away. So you gave them the time of day, but you don't really need to bother with them, and then just go about your business, because you want to always remain cordial. Even if somebody pisses you off, this season I was a lot more emotional. Go in the DR, take a minute, scream it out, yell it out, get it off your chest, and then walk out like normal. You don't want to blow up on people, because that makes you a target.
Yeah. And I think you are just such a great testament to that, because we saw in BB21 especially, there would be times when you would be so frustrated with Mickey and you would go in the DR. I mean, we'd get these great DRs that are now GIFs and memes, but, where he was making you so mad or frustrating you with the game moves he was wanting to make. And you would go let that out in the DR. And we got so many great DRs from you because of that. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks. Because it's not worth it, because my luck, if he was in some way, shape, or form gonna keep me or gonna take me, you don't want to taint the person against you by cursing them out. So you need to hold yourself together as much as you don't want to.
Hold that thought. I've got to go to the DR real quick and blow up.
Be right back. It's like that SNL skit where like he goes in the bathroom, he's like, son of a bitch, and then he comes out, hi guys.
Right, that's exactly it.
That's Nicole's tip for if you are planning to go on Big Brother, blow up in the DR, not in the person's face.
And I did it this season as well. Obviously I was incorrect in my being frustrated, but there came a point on the hammock, I was so frustrated with Janelle and Kayser because the whole house was targeting me, and they were like, we're going to keep campaigning for you. We're going to keep campaigning for you. And I'm like, guys, you need to stop. Like, people are associating me with you. I'm going to go home. And Kayser's like, Nicole, stop. It's fine. And I, with that, I can't be dismissed because then I get frustrated. And I was like, whatever. And I got up from the hammock, went in the DR and unloaded. And obviously it's a good thing I didn't do it to them because I was wrong and I apologize and I admit I was wrong. But it's not effective to blow up on people. It just doesn't get you anywhere. It makes things worse for you. It makes you look bad for the whole entire house because then you're that girl. So just, take your time, whether it be, I don't know how Survivor works. I guess you go into like the jungle and just scream at the coconuts. I don't know how that works, but in the DR, let it out.
The producer's like, come here, let's go sit by the ocean, and they can do it then. But definitely don't give like as private of moments because at any point they could definitely be overheard. They're on an island, so if you were too loud,
that's true.
Like
maybe like scream underwater.
Yeah,
like in those dramatic movies where the person was underwater.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm going to go scream in the ocean real quick. I'll be right back. Oh well,
I'm just swimming.
I'm just hanging out, just going to get some fish. I'll be right back. Well, we have had such a fun time talking to you. Our chat is
likewise.
Our chat is, I mean, at one point I looked over and like the red bubble was like 127 comments, and I've been trying to click on it so that the red notification wouldn't pop up. So the chat loves you. We've had such a big viewing today because of having you on. So we are so grateful to have you. You have been so fun to talk to and pick your brain.
Likewise.
So we have a tweet of the day that we always feature on our show. Just a funny tweet that is, relevant to what's going on in the Big Brother house.
Okay.
And we got one last night when the episode was on with Caitlin Herman, and it was wild. Everything, like they're showing Nicole sneezing, Mulan, and the tweet is, what the fuck is going on? Hashtag BB22. I think we all felt this way last night. What is happening? Why are we seeing Nicole sneeze over anything else?
Yeah.
Listen, I have to applaud production because they are working with what they got. And unfortunately what they got is sneezing and bananas being thrown and a blow up cow.
And Christmas middle school talent show dance.
Yes, true.
This is what they have, y'all.
And I supported her during her jig. I was like, poor Christmas. It's an awkward moment, and now I know she doesn't even want to hang out with me. So you know what? Your dance sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
Later, I took it back. Your Tina Turner dance was not even that good.
Yeah, you know what? I take it back.
Even remember
I defended you. I was like, oh, poor Christmas. Cody's making her look like an idiot. I feel bad. I
was also I was in drill team in school, which is like the dance team, and there was one of our groups did a Tina Turner dance, and so they're like on Proud Mary, and they're like do 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 do, and they're like bowing their heads, and they all had like big hair, and I was really hoping Christmas would have like the whole girl group dance. I was really. My expectations of she's talking about this talent show and we get to the point where she can't remember the choreography, I was like, bummer.
That's a good tweet right there. The biggest disappointment of the season is Christmas not having the choreographed dance down. Just when we thought we couldn't be let down anymore.
Here we are. Come on, Christmas.
And whose tweet was it the other day? I think it was James Ryan, possibly, that tweeted out, I think I'm the only one watching this episode.
Yes, I think that was James's tweet
I was
too.
like, oh, I'm watching it.
James is
right.
the flyer of our tweet of the day because
Oh gosh,
his tweets are so funny. His and Kat's, like, their tweets are so hilarious that
I have to think of one. I want to be featured. I gotta think of something funny.
All right.
I feel like we have featured you. There was definitely. We'll go back. If we find it, we'll send it to you.
Okay.
If not, we're watching your Twitter.
Okay.
So.
Right. I mean, you've had plenty of moments in the show today that if you had put them in tweet form would have been great.
Well, we're definitely going to have the clip of your Enzo final two speech will definitely be on all of our social media for a while. Can't wait. All right, guys.
I do want to close out. Oh,
go ahead.
With the last tweet that I saw, and I forgot who it was, so I apologize for not giving you credit. Somebody said, "When I die, I want the BB22 cast to lower my casket, so they let me down one last time."
I saw that tweet too. I feel like it was like one of those like Earth Dog or.
Oh, it was so funny.
It was so good, so good. Well, thanks again, Nicole, for joining us.
Thank you.
Everyone who joined us live with questions, comments on everything. We appreciate everyone who joined us live. If you are watching us later, don't forget to subscribe to the Russell Hantz Show. You'll get a notification when we go live. And we'll be live again tomorrow night to talk about The Amazing Race. And we teed up yesterday, and we're going to tee it up again today, that we have some piping hot tea on The Amazing Race. We have just done some research, have some evidence to present to the jury, and we need the live chat to join us to give us your thoughts on The Amazing Race. So we'll be back tomorrow night with that. Our episode tomorrow, we will not have a live feed update tomorrow. So no need to tune in at 12 o'clock, guys. We don't want to get your hopes up, but if you subscribe, you'll get a notification that we will be live with The Amazing Race tomorrow night after the episode. So again, Nicole, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Such a fun guest. You're the only guest we've gone over our hour with. So
I'm sorry.
No.
It was just that fun of an episode. So thanks again for joining us. Everyone else, subscribe, drop us a comment, hit us with a thumbs up, and tune in tomorrow for The Amazing Race. All right. Cheers, Kylie. Cheers. Nicole. See you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Bye.